that's Rogaine. That's
that's
for
for
losing
going
your hair.
bald. Yeah.
Yes, thankfully.
Whole different problem.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Whole different issue.
See that sign up there? It says applesauce. No, I'm just kidding. Do you know what that's from?
Missed it.
No, you didn't get that?
No.
You didn't pick that up?
No. What?
Oh.
What is it?
Hey now.
Oh, that's right. He does that every time.
He does it the start of every single show.
I'm kidding.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm kidding.
Where he thinks he's the funniest person
He's
on
warming
earth.
him up.
Yeah.
That's right.
By the way, are you wearing the exact same clothes as last week? I believe I just want to call this out right now.
That's not fair. Dude, you caught me
Because
on
we
a
joked about
laundry
this at the
cycle.
very first episode.
You called me on a laundry cycle here.
Yeah.
Caught me on a laundry cycle.
I believe the very first, the pilot episode of this show.
Yeah.
We joked that you were going to wear the same clothes every week.
That's right. And now I'm doing
I'm
it.
just saying the first 2 official episodes.
It's a comfortable shirt.
Oh, apparently it is. I believe we are live streaming right now.
All right.
Yes.
How's everybody
Hello.
doing?
Welcome to Between the Streams. I'm Greg Nibbler.
I'm Ryan Juanita.
Oh, thank you. Excellent.
I nailed it.
You did. You
Little
nailed
late.
that line. Yeah, no, but it was right there.
Someday we're going to get that right.
Well, we'll work on that part.
It'll
I don't
happen.
know. But yes, I do have to say, though, that it is a good shirt. If
very
you did
comfortable.
tune in last week, you will notice, yes, that
Let's
he's
keep
wearing the same
talking about that. Thank
I just
you.
kind of want to keep bringing it up constantly throughout the show.
right.
All right. We've got so many things to get to.
We
today
really do.
to talk about.
But before we get to any of those things,
Yes.
we have to talk about this.
This
You
is now never going to die. This
Are
picture.
a shredder. Okay. Let's see
All
if we
right.
can get this on camera.
So I need to explain that picture.
Uh-huh. This is our own Greg Nibbler.
Yesterday on Trends with Benefits, somebody found this. I can't remember who it was that pulled this picture out, but Rick Stella brought it in here. So this is a picture of me. Apparently, one of the only unprotected pictures on my Facebook, which I don't know when the last time is I checked my Facebook pages for like other people to look at. That's apparently one of the only pictures I have on there. I'm sure that's gone well for me for whoever's looked at my page before.
I just love the
so-
leopard pants
It
under
is-
the
okay.
jeans.
Okay.
That is good stuff.
So I am in a band we don't play that often called Courage, and it's kind of like a Spinal Tap kind of band. It's about
you're-
rocking and fire
So you're
and
being
rocking.
slightly sarcastic?
Yeah,
Do
I mean the
take?
music's real,
The music's all real.
but yeah, the music's actually pretty good. But yeah, the lyrics are mostly about
Oh, okay.
porn and fire and rocking. Yeah, that's
What else
common
would you write
theme.
about?
It's a common theme.
What else would
throughout.
you write about,
The key
really?
though in that picture is what's drawn on my other arm, because before the shows, what we do is we go around, to the crowd and bring out permanent markers and let people write tattoos on us so they can draw their own tattoos. On my right arm is something. It was terrible. I had my buddy Brian. He ended up writing on my arm while I was having a drink and not looking.
Uh-huh.
So all of the pictures from this show last year, all except for this one, have my right arm with a giant organ on them. That's
nice.
for every single picture. So big shout out to Brian for that one. I'm glad that
Oh,
one
okay.
was
I
protected.
can see it here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. We'll leave that.
Nicely done.
That couragemusic.com.
All right, that is enough of that.
Oh, it's going everywhere. All right, let's get to something else. Now I'm turning red after talking about that.
Oh, nice.
You're wearing the same shirt, by the way. So,
Oh boy,
big week for superheroes,
it is a big week for superheroes.
or is it a bad week for superheroes?
It's this is a situation that we saw coming. We were hoping for the best.
Yeah.
We're of course talking about Batman versus Superman Apocalypse. No, that was X-Men. But this should be called Apocalypse because that's what's happening on the review sites. So I first started looking at the reviews. I was interested in the movie, and I honestly thought that Ben Affleck was going to do a good job as Batman, and that still seems to be holding true, even though people freaked out about him being Batman.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go from the previous Batman, from Christian Bale's Batman, because I was a fan of that
He's fantastic.
trilogy.
He
Yeah,
was
it was
great.
really good. But I know you got to change it. You got to get a different actor, and I do like Ben Affleck.
Well, and you know what I liked about Bale's Batman? He said he's the most serious person in the universe, but he said in an interview once, playing Batman is not just playing one role, and it's not just playing two roles. It's actually playing three. And it's pretty cool because you've got Bruce Wayne, right?
Yeah.
But you've also got Bruce Wayne's public persona.
Oh yeah.
Who
Okay.
is
I can see
totally
that.
fake.
Right. Who's the
Plus,
playboy
you've
rich
got
guy,
Batman.
yeah.
So really you are playing three roles when you're doing
Okay.
Batman. Now this is a guy that knows how to play Batman.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But I still thought Affleck was going to be good. Anyway, we started looking at Rotten Tomatoes after I think about 50 reviews had come in.
Because it just came out last night, right?
Yep.
Just,
But the
yeah,
reviews came in early. I think they've been shuffling in for the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at 40% when I first looked. And it has been dropping like crazy.
like that bad.
Right before we went on air, it's at like I think there's 200 reviews or more in. It's at 30%.
Like, so what are they saying about it that it's so horrible?
All right, so IndieWire's Eric Kahn calls it one long teaser for the next installment in DC's cinematic universe. That's not great. Joe Morgenstern of the Wall Street Journal says it's underdeveloped, overlong, and stupendously dispiriting.
Dispiriting.
Yeah,
like he's sadder for having watched
after he
it.
got out of that,
Like
he feels dispirited.
I feel like my life is worse for having watched that movie. That's like horrible.
That's escapism
That's gotta suck.
at its best. And then our own Rick
I will
Marshall,
never get those 2 hours back from my life. And
more than 2.
I wonder. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's like 2.5, isn't it?
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah.
And then our own Rick Marshall.
I can only wonder what I could have done with that time.
Remarkably sparse on character development and world building. So
Okay.
none of this is
So it
great.
doesn't sound like they've really developed anything. I mean, I've said this before. I'm not a huge Superman guy anyway.
Right.
But I did think the last film was all right.
You thought it was okay.
It was okay. Well, at least compared to the reboot they tried to do in like 2005 or 6 or whenever that was.
Yeah, so you're
that
saying
one I've never
comparing
made it
it
through.
to an awful movie.
Comparing it to a horrible movie, I've tried 3 different times,
Mm-hmm.
fell asleep 3 times. Even in the theater, I watched it in the theater, fell asleep during it.
Well-
that one was bad. So this previous Superman, Man of Steel, yeah, by comparison, I guess it wasn't.
By comparison, and it's not an unwatchable film by any means.
No.
But the thing is, it's very dark, it's very brooding, it's not very Superman-like. You
Yeah.
know, if people know that have seen it, I guess we're just going to be really easy on spoilers here, but
Yeah.
he's very un-Superman-like
Oh, you mean
in
Man
the
of
final
Steel?
scene.
That's a couple years ago. I think we're safe on that.
So when he cracks Zod's neck,
right.
that's pretty un-Superman-like.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of reasons why it wasn't a great Superman movie, but it's watchable. The action's okay. For me, it wasn't that I hated it. It's just that it's sort of disposable.
Yeah.
And when you compare that to the Christopher Nolan movies or any of the Marvel movies, really,
Right.
they're not disposable. In fact, some of them are pretty rewatchable. Guardians of the Galaxy,
Oh,
even,
definitely.
very
Yeah.
rewatchable.
Can watch that over and over. I mean, even some of the
Avengers
Iron Man's.
is very rewatchable.
Yeah, some of the Thor movies. I
So
mean,
really, the issue is, and just to put that into perspective on Rotten Tomatoes at that 30%, Miracles from Heaven, which is Jennifer Garner's movie.
is that a new movie?
Yeah, it's about a sick girl who falls out of a tree and gets better, based on a true story.
Oh, all right.
That's at 51%.
Oh,
That looks like the worst movie ever,
Oh.
but it's still doing 20%
and then
better
this is
than
at that.
Yeah.
Wasn't she married to Ben Affleck?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
Coincidence.
Yeah, there we go.
So really, the question is, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, it just seems like
At Warner
DC is
Brothers.
just failing left and right when it comes down to this.
What is Warner Brothers doing, and why is it that Marvel and Disney is rolling in cash and critical praise, but DC just can't get it right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing: this movie might be a critical bomb, but it is predicted to be possibly the highest opening superhero movie of all
Really?
time. Yeah.
Really?
Of all
Even though it's
time.
getting this of all time
Yeah.
over the new Avengers Age of Ultron or
It's up there.
wow.
And
All right.
It also
I mean,
cost $250 million to make.
I can tell you like $250 million
To make.
I can tell you I will watch it, for sure. I'm not going to go see it in the theater, at least not a first run theater.
Sure.
Might go see it in a beer theater,
Right.
when it comes out and it's like $5. But that was my thoughts from the beginning on this. I'm just way more into the Marvel characters. I'm really into that stuff. I kind of want to see some of the side characters because I hear Aquaman makes an appearance and
Wonder Woman's supposed to be
Woman's
really
in there.
good in it.
Yeah.
That's one of the critiques that hasn't been just awful.
Okay, so Wonder Woman's good.
And and they said that Ben Affleck did a good job too. And I mean, I guess it depends on if you like Henry Cavill's take on Superman. A lot of people seem to not.
Well, and at that point, though, who is going to be able to play Superman that
I feel
people are
like
going to like?
there
Like, do
is-
you have a suggestion maybe for an actor?
I have no idea.
Yeah, who would be able to?
I feel like there's only one person, though, at Warner Brothers to point the finger at because they have given him carte blanche to create the cinematic universe, and his name is Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder.
He is the one you can blame for
Calling out Zack Snyder.
all of these issues. He's the producer of most of these movies. He's directed the bigger ones.
And
The
which
one
ones
movie
has
that's
he
looking
done?
good, the one movie that's looking good that he has not directed or written is David Ayer's movie,
Which is
the not the Justice League, but the Suicide Squad movie.
Oh yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
that one is going to be good.
It's looking good.
Okay.
But Zack Snyder didn't do it.
So there's maybe
So Snyder is
something to
known-
tie in there.
Yeah, exactly. Snyder's known for 300, which was a great movie.
Yeah.
And he's also known for The Watchmen, which was sort of a flop, but I thought it was a pretty entertaining
I know a
movie.
lot of people are in it.
It's
I need
dark.
to give it another chance.
The problem is he has taken this idea of Christopher Nolan's dark cinematic universe and just
like,
brought
yeah,
it
I
to
like that. I'm
11.
gonna do that.
If that's cool, then maybe we'll just turn that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't work as well with Superman. First
Now
of all.
Superman's a murdering psycho. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was even a rendering of Man of Steel done by some like YouTubers, and all they did was brighten up the colors, and everybody liked the movie more. It was like getting like way more kudos.
It is hard to see Superman as
It's
dark.
so dark.
You know, Batman
I mean, visually
works.
and story wise,
Yeah.
in every realm. And there's no jokes. I remember in Man of Steel, one thing that I thought was like the perfect time for a joke. They're sitting there after one of the big fights with Zod, and he's talking to his mother, Superman is, and there is a like truck sitting in their house, like pushing through the wall
Yeah.
that has been chucked into the house because that's all
They're
they do
destroying
is just
everything,
destroy
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
That was a great time for some levity. Like you had Diane,
Diane Keaton.
Keaton, yeah. And she could have, done a joke there.
Something
She
there.
could have handled a joke there. I don't know. There's just, it seems like he can't have fun. And
Yeah.
if superhero movies can't be fun,
Right.
what are they for?
Right. I mean, even the Marvel movies, I mean, yeah, they get dark a little bit sometimes, but mostly it's just fun, and there's ridiculous jokes and
It's one thing to bring some realism to it, but if it can't be fun at all, I mean, the Batman movies were pretty dark too, but there were still some jokes.
yeah.
What are all the push-ups for if you can't raise a bloody log? I
Well-
mean, that's a joke. It happened in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
let's
and
have a joke.
So you're saying it's all Zack Snyder's fault. So what do you
I
think
am
that they
pointing
do
the
at this
finger at
point?
Zack Snyder.
Like,
So-
do you think they need to reboot it? The whole thing?
I don't think they need
again?
to reboot it, but I think that they need to seriously think about taking him out of at least the director's chair and
Okay.
bringing in some fresh blood. And so I'm putting that to the viewers this week.
Okay. All
That's
right.
our viewer poll question this week. Do you think Warner Brothers or DC, together, should cut ties with Snyder and bring in some new blood?
Okay. Just drop
I
it all
want you to
together.
vote on that and let us know what you think. And, maybe if you are going to make some comments on it, who do you think could do better?
Yeah, exactly. Like
There
who
are a
would
lot
be
of
able to
great
step
directors
in
out there.
and handle this so that's not already tied up in some kind of a comic book.
Yeah, I mean, Bryan Singer's got his plate full.
Yeah, there's so many different series, and
Yeah.
there's people that are good at it. But is there anybody else out there that can step in? Because they've already started. You can't reboot it again. I don't think.
Hell, Kenneth
Or
Branagh.
you just have to throw it away for 15 years
I
and then
know.
come back to it.
Kenneth Branagh made a decent superhero movie, and that guy
Who's that?
Kenneth Branagh's the serious actor. He does a lot of British stuff. He's
I
done
wanna
some
look him up.
Shakespearean stuff.
Okay.
He directed Thor.
Oh, okay.
The first Thor.
I like Thor.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Okay.
It seems like anybody could do better at Snyder at this point. But that's the bottom line: is these superhero
What
movies
should they do?
are not fun.
Well, and
Now
that's
that brings us to a superhero movie from Warner Brothers that is going to be probably pretty fun.
okay.
The new trailer for the Lego Batman movie came out this week.
Okay. Like, is it a spin-off from the Lego
Yeah,
movie?
so it's a spin-off of the
Okay.
Lego movie. Now, this movie was directed by Chris McKay, who is best known before the Lego movie for doing Robot Chicken stuff.
Yeah, and that's key. Robot Chicken
Right?
is fantastic, and
Yeah.
that's why when the Lego movie first came out, the original one, that we're talking about, I had no interest in going to see it. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that's a kids movie. Like, how are they going to make Legos interesting? This is just dumb. I have no interest. And then finally, I sat down and actually watched it, and then I got it. I'm like, oh no, this is actually pretty brilliant. And it's funny. Oh, Robot Chicken's involved. Oh, okay, yeah, I was the one being an idiot, not giving it a chance. So
Right.
because of that, because that other one was so good, I would give this Lego Batman movie definitely a chance.
I mean, I think a lot of people had their own, ideas about what the Lego movie was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I have a pretty funny story about when I watched that movie. I went to go see it in the theater. I went to a matinee of it. So for those who are animation fans, don't ever go to a matinee.
Oh, no.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Could
It
you
was a
even hear
Sunday
the movie over
afternoon.
the crying and the?
It was only kids and parents. That's it. And I came
And
in.
then you?
and
By
me.
yourself?
Yeah. So I'm
Oh,
looking like
creep alert, yeah.
I'm the creepy guy. Not only that, I brought a beer in with me to the theater.
Of course. Of
Because,
course.
as you do.
That's what you do. Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
That was a weird
So
experience.
you were a single guy in a room full of
single
parents
guy in a room
and
full of
children
little kids
drinking beer in a corner. Please tell
beer.
me you had a trench coat on too and just sitting there.
I realized that day that's the
like
day I bought
cartoons.
my first trench coat. No, but I mean, I love that movie. I love it.
You guys like the movie too?
You guys want some more popcorn? But the thing is,
That's
like,
funny.
I love animated movies, but I thought, the Lego movie was awesome. And I didn't have the hang up about it being about a toy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It did way better than anybody expected it. In fact, it spawned a pretty good documentary about the making of the movie,
Oh, I haven't seen that.
which did really well. So people are pretty excited about the Lego Batman movie. And Will Arnett comes out.
Will Arnett is. I've been rewatching Arrested Development lately
Right.
just while I'm working because it's so good and you can always pick up something new. Will Arnett, yeah, I'm a
brilliant.
fan of pretty much anything he does.
And I think
Chicken
Joe
fingers
still
with
might be
club sauce. Like,
with club sauce.
you can quote Will Arnett all day long. I do that too much as it is.
Well, first thing in the trailer, he comes out and he's like rapping. He's beatboxing, and then he drops the. You don't see a lot. He drops the mic, and then you don't see a lot. You do see some pretty cool action. He's flying around in a Lego, like bat, wing and whatever, and there's some cool stuff. But this movie is going to be packed with big stars, just like pretty much any animated movie is. You've got Rosario Dawson, Ray Fiennes, Michael Cera, and Zach Galifianakis is Joker.
Nice.
Which is
Okay.
such a weird idea.
Okay.
I remember
No,
when we
I like it
reported
though.
on him
I like
as
the
the
idea.
Joker.
I like the idea of him doing that.
Yeah.
That's great. And
I
Michael
wonder-
Cera's in it, so there's another Arrested Development tie-in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wonder how he's going to play it, though.
How? Well, I mean, you got to play it goofy, I would think.
Yeah, is he
I
going to be
mean,
like a nervous,
It's a
like
Lego
neurotic
movie. It can't
Joker?
be too. I don't think we're gonna go Heath Ledger.
No,
on
no,
it,
probably
but that would be interesting. Take Legos really dark.
Yeah, let's take Lego.
Let's darken it up.
I mean, if Zack Snyder was in charge.
That's true. That's how that would go. When does that come out?
Actually, I don't know when that comes out.
Okay, but
I
the
think
trailer's
I
out
think
now.
it comes out this summer.
Okay. All right. Well, I am really excited to talk about something else here, just because it ties into Portland, and we did bring up Suicide Squad, and I'm looking forward to her performance in that.
That's right.
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie,
was-
the beautiful,
Yes.
lovely
Yes.
British Margot Robbie.
Yes. Or Australian or British?
You're right, Australian.
Australian?
She lives in London now. But
Okay,
yes.
there. Well, see,
Not
you know,
that I'm
you,
keeping
you know a
tabs
lot
on
about
it.
her there. Never mind.
I just watched a
Go
clip
watch a
of it.
movie by yourself. No, no. So Margot Robbie, and this I could not believe this when this news came out.
Yeah.
That they're looking at making a Tonya Harding movie.
Yes. That first of all, that's just news right there.
Yeah.
What?
That Tonya a movie about the whole Tonya Harding situation,
Right.
the figure skater, the clubber. Well, she didn't club, but and then on top of that, to have Margot Robbie play Tonya Harding, and I don't mean to disparage. Tonya Harding's probably got to feel pretty good about this casting. I would think.
not
I
gonna be
mean,
upset.
I'd feel
Yeah.
she should feel pretty awesome. That Margot Robbie playing me, sure.
That's like that question where it's like,
I'm
who do you
sorry,
think
they
should play
just
you in the movie? And then
don't- yeah.
you name somebody that's like 10
Brad
times more
Pitt.
attractive than
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Of course, Brad Pitt.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it's just I don't know if I would ever be able to get out of that. And it's nothing against Margot Robbie's acting or
I
Tonya
feel
Harding's
like-
looks, but I mean, come on, it doesn't match.
I
It
feel
doesn't.
like, they can make her ugly enough. I mean, that was not. I could have said that more diplomatic.
It was, yeah, but you're saying what I was trying to dance around. You
and I
cut to
think
the point.
She's a good enough actress that I think that could work. But I mean, when I first saw this, I'm like, this is the most
ugly her up.
ridiculous thing that I've heard of. I mean, it's like a movie of the week or something. But then I started looking into the story, and it is pretty interesting. So Tonya Harding was from Portland, Oregon. She grew up with a poor
Yes.
background. And then she became the first woman in competition to complete the triple axel.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. And then she was, winning a lot of tournaments. And then she and Nancy Kerrigan were the two picks to go head to head for the gold medal at the '94 Olympics.
Yes.
And then what happened?
And that is when somebody mysteriously
That
clubbed.
is when her deranged husband.
Yeah, which at the time nobody knew that's what it
Ex-husband,
was.
her deranged ex-husband. I should say.
I don't think they weren't ex-husband.
Were they not at the
No,
time?
they were married at that
Okay,
point.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that nobody knew when it happened. So Nancy Kerrigan got clubbed in
with
the
a
knee
police baton.
outside of a facility, which there's video of this. Not of the actual clubbing, but right afterward. Because there's an
not of
ESPN
the clubbing,
not of
but-
the clubbing. There's an ESPN 30 for 30 documentary that's
Oh, okay, those are
fantastic
great.
about this
Yeah.
about this whole thing.
Right.
But yeah, then it turned out to be Tonya Harding's husband and her weird his like I think bodyguard that conspired to do this, and it she claims she didn't have any knowledge of it. I think it could make it for a good movie.
So
honestly.
they let her skate. For those that don't know how it all turned out, she ended up getting 8th. Apparently, she was a little distracted. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then she ended up getting banned for life and going on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
So it all worked out, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's where everybody ends up there. With that, and if your last name's Palin, you end up on Dancing with the Stars. But I think it could be an interesting
movie. They're shopping a studio right now. It's not going to be. This isn't going to be a blockbuster, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you spin it. I mean, it's
going to be a special interest
movie. Crazy story. You've never heard anything like this, where
a
competitor clubs another competitor or has another person, a hit on them,
basically
to whack their knee.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah,
it's very mafia.
It could be really good. Tonya Harding's weird. Yeah, since she is from Portland, I always every now and then you talk to somebody who's like, oh yeah, Tonya Harding used to bartend at Sewickley's, or like different stories. I never know what's true, but there's so many urban legends in Portland about where Tonya Harding was, and nobody really cares. It's not like a bragging point. It's just
right.
Like, oh yeah, no, I saw her in there. And then later on, didn't she end up throwing a hubcap at her husband? I think she got arrested for that. I'm pretty sure.
You know more than I do.
They showed that.
You've been following her.
Yes, clearly. Yeah.
You've been following the trials and
tribulations. I know way too much about Tonya Harding. Oh God.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's
coming out.
Movie.
Margot Robbie
as
Tonya Harding. Okay.
All right. So we also have something really interesting happening with Netflix.
Yeah, and I don't know a lot about this.
Okay.
So.
Well, basically, Netflix got in a bidding war with, it looks like, Warner Brothers and MGM were both in this bidding war for a new movie called Bright. Now, this is a really, really interesting movie. It's written by Max Landis, who's the guy behind the Chronicle and American Ultra.
Okay.
And this is a movie about a cop who is an orc.
Yeah, like an orc, like Lord of the Rings orc?
Yeah, so it's like a sort of fantasy mixed with a police drama. And he's a cop.
It's not set in like Lord of the Rings time.
It's set in like modern time. And in this world, there are dwarves and orcs. Yeah, in a world where orcs are cops.
Orcs are cops. Okay.
And it's set to star Will Smith. And it's actually getting a lot of buzz. But this is the biggest purchase by Netflix yet, as far as their movie studio
How much
goes.
did they pay for it?
$90 million.
90. And this is for one movie or a series?
One movie. It's called
a
Bright.
movie.
Yeah.
$90 million?
Yeah.
So is this just to purchase the rights?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like
that's not even production cost.
It might be to purchase the movie itself.
Okay.
Yeah, but
still.
Yeah, and there's the
is
question.
It going to be that good?
The real question is, are they going to have a theatrical release? Because what Netflix has been transitioning. First they were a streaming network, or first they were a rental network, then they were a streaming network, then they were a television network. Now they're trying to be a full-fledged movie studio.
Yeah.
Worldwide, and they can do a lot of things with this because they are now in over 190 countries, so they can release it all at once.
Yeah.
On all of those platforms throughout the world. But the question is, are they going to do a theatrical release? Because the last time they tried to do one, they were boycotted. They were boycotted by the 3 major theater chains.
Don't they have to do that to be considered for
any awards? Yeah.
Okay,
We talked
for like
about
Academy
that last
Awards.
week.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I would think if you're going to invest $90 million, I would think you find some theater to show it.
Either that, or they are just really trying.
Like, are they going to generate that much revenue off of this one?
Well, they don't generate revenue off of their titles.
Right.
I mean, all they're really doing is giving people a reason to stay with Netflix or to get with Netflix.
So that's it. That's pretty much
the
the whole
weird.
purpose.
Get with Netflix.
Get with Netflix.
Netflix and chill. A whole new level.
Yes. Well, back to this movie really quick.
Yeah.
Just to understand this, orcs and dwarves exist in real life now.
Yeah.
And so they interact with humans, and the orcs are cops. Is Will Smith an orc?
I think Will Smith's going to be an orc,
Okay.
and I think that there's going to be a lot of
I
like
gotta say,
racial
this sounds-
stuff that's sort of metaphoric.
orc on human
exactly.
interactions.
I think orcs are going to be sort of the downtrodden race
Okay.
in this cinematic universe. So
right.
that could bring up some interesting paradigms.
I guess, yeah, but in the end, it's still going to be an orc.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're not sold.
I'm not sold. I'm not sold.
The reason people are excited
I'm
is
not
because
gonna lie,
Max
I'm not
Landis, and then also the director of Suicide Squad, David Ayers, is going to be directing.
I mean,
David Ayers.
all right. Yeah, those are good people. I'm still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're not buying it.
I'm not sure. And I like Will Smith. And I like Lord of the Rings. throw them all together doesn't necessarily mean it works. Doesn't necessarily mean
not
that
a sandwich you
for a
wanna
good
eat.
movie. You're like, oh, I like him and him and him, and I like Lord of the Rings. Sweet. It's like some kind of ADD person came up with this idea and just threw all of these things together.
Every time I think something is going to be terrible, or not every time, but sometimes, when you think something's going to be terrible, a great writer figures out a way to do it right.
Yeah.
And that's what a great writer does.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe. Well, okay.
So
well,
that's Bright.
So they purchased that. No, I'm sure no word on when that's going to be.
No,
Coming
that hasn't even hit that stage yet. All we
Okay.
know is that Will Smith's going to star, and
Okay.
we know the two biggest names behind the production.
I'm curious what people think about that too. If you want to drop a comment or send an email, podcast@digitaltrends.com. Let us know what you think about that or any of these other things that we're talking about, because I mean, $90 million, there's got to be something behind it.
Yeah.
But
Well, the last big movie I think was that they purchased that was even close was Brad Pitt's war movie. I think it's called War Machine, and that was like $30 million.
okay.
And
yeah,
that
seems,
at the time was their biggest purchase.
yeah, $90 million. Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
90 mil. Yeah,
okay.
and Superman versus Batman is 250 million. It's not that far off.
No. Well,
But
we'll see. Maybe it'll be amazing, and I'm completely wrong. and
consider
could
this:
be-
Netflix spends about $7 billion a year on content.
Damn. So I guess that's just a drop in the bucket for them.
I mean, they spend a lot of money.
They generate a lot of money. $7 billion. Is
They
what
generate
they're
a
spending?
lot of revenue. A lot of revenue.
All right, we should probably get to this because it's tinged with a little bit of sadness
Oh yeah,
about what happened yesterday, and that is
so sad.
that Garry Shandling passed away. Comedian Garry Shandling. If you may know him more as Larry Sanders, his persona and character on
persona.
the Larry Sanders Show. He passed away yesterday, really suddenly.
Really suddenly, they didn't know the cause of death. It turns out he had been sort of like having shortness of breath the day before.
Okay.
And had a doctor's appointment scheduled. And unfortunately, by the time he went to the hospital, it was too late.
Yeah. I mean,
and it was later reported, they didn't know the cause of death at the time, it was later reported that he died of a massive heart attack.
ugh.
So-
Well, it's definitely very sudden, and there's been a lot of, you've probably seen a lot of the outpouring that's coming out. Like all the comedians are doing kind of, homages to him and talking about
Absolutely.
him and how
Everybody
great he was.
from Seth MacFarlane, Jerry Seinfeld, just
Conan-
about
Conan
everybody
O'Brien did
every
a-
major comedian, Seth Meyers,
Yeah.
just tons and
Well,
tons of comedians.
And that's because he was so influential, not just in his stand-up, but in particular, the Larry Sanders Show.
Absolutely.
Which-
Now, this is basically one of the first ever meta shows. Actually, his show before that was famous for breaking the fourth wall as well. It's Garry
Yeah.
Shandling's show. That was on Showtime, I believe. But Larry Sanders came out in 1992, and when it did, there was pretty much nothing else like it.
Yeah.
And, so basically, for those who don't know what it is, this is our Between
I
the
think-
Cracks, by the way. This is what I'm telling people. If you haven't seen it, this is something that you absolutely have to watch.
Yes.
And you're a fan as well.
Oh, yeah,
So
definitely,
basically, it's
definitely.
about a sort of petty, sort of flawed talk show host.
Like in the vein of Jay Leno, David Letterman.
Exactly.
Like a rival network to them.
And it uses that exact universe. So he is, it's a fictional talk show, but his rivals in the show are Leno and
Yep.
David Letterman. And he's got Rip Torn, who is amazing. Anybody
Yeah.
that's seen Rip Torn, you might know him from Dodgeball, but he has been in a billion things.
Yeah.
And he's always amazing. In fact, he's quite a character in real life, too.
Yeah. Did he
There
get
are
arrested
some
for?
crazy stories about
There
him
are.
like getting in bar fights and just
Right.
like all kinds of stuff. But he is great on the show. And then Jeffrey Tambor,
Yeah.
who is from
Arrested
Arrested Development
Development.
and Transparent.
Yeah, he just got
He's
an Emmy
won
for
some Golden
Transparent,
Globes,
or
yeah.
Golden Globes, yeah. And he plays the sidekick to Larry Sanders,
Right.
so he's kind of like the Ed McMahon
He is
style, the
definitely
sidekick,
the Ed
Andy
McMahon.
Richter, and
Hank Kingsley,
Hank Kingsley. Hey now,
who is just such a
see
pile.
that sign up there? It says applesauce. No, I'm just kidding. Makes no sense if you don't watch it.
Right.
But and then it's kind of just about behind the scenes of what happens at that, and there's so many guest stars, but that format was a template for so many shows
many
that happened
shows.
after that. You look at even like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
There's
It would have never
Curb,
existed without.
There's 30 Rock, even
Yeah.
Entourage, really, because that
Right.
idea of a show about Hollywood,
About
people
behind the
didn't really
scenes.
know. I don't think that people would care about that.
Mm-hmm.
But people love that vicarious Hollywood life.
Right.
And I mean, even you could even say, Sex in the City, maybe even
Yeah.
just like
Behind the scenes
yeah.
kind of stuff, but then also self-deprecating and him basically playing an exaggerated version of himself, I think is what he was doing with Larry Sanders.
Yeah, I think
And-
so. I mean, well, so he was a talk show fill-in for Johnny Carson for a long time. He was
Yeah.
a huge comedian, brought like a whole new style to his comedy in the 80s. And then when he finally brought this show out, it was just sort of like, I think it was just sort of the culmination of all of his brilliance.
Yeah.
And all the right people coming together. And it was also one of the first major series on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is that we just found out today it has been missing from HBO for years. And that's
Yeah.
why a lot of people probably don't know about it.
Right.
It was
I think
owned by
there's a lot of
Sony.
people like me yesterday looking to find it.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I got to catch up.
Now,
All I
as
could
soon
find
as
was
I
on
got
YouTube.
HBO Go, I was like, "Where's Larry Sanders? Why is it not
Yeah.
on here?" And I had to look it up, and it was because it was produced by Sony, and they maintain the rights. So for a while, there was on Sony's streaming service on Crackle, but it turns out that before he died, he had already made this deal, or he had helped broker this deal, so it was coming back to HBO, which would have been probably a huge resurgence for his career.
Oh, yeah.
I have to imagine. So it's really sad, but the good news is we still have those 6 seasons that you can catch soon on HBO, and if you haven't seen it, it's just going to make you laugh and laugh.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
one of the funniest shows.
If you like,
I think it's one of the top, shows of its kind ever made.
Absolutely. Yeah, I 100% agree. It's another one of those shows that's kind of like Arrested Development in that there's so many quotable moments from that series.
And there's so many
it's
great actors
so
that were on
good.
it as well. So Jeremy Piven, we had Bob Odenkirk, Janine Garofalo. That's just to name a few.
Oh, just, yeah.
And then they bring in all kinds of A-list actors at the time.
David Spade.
Some of whom are totally not stars now, and some who are.
Right. And that's kind of interesting
David
to watch.
Duchovny.
Like, I watched one yesterday because I did find it on YouTube, and it was like Mimi Rogers. I'm like,
Yeah,
who
who was Mimi Rogers?
Yeah, big deal. Big deal at that time.
She was a big deal. She was in Austin Powers.
Was she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Briefly.
All right. All
I think
right.
that's the last time she's really been on TV.
But yeah, it's a fantastic series. And
Great show. That's our Between the Cracks this week. We highly recommend it.
Definitely. So yeah, does it say when it's coming back to HBO? Just soon.
They haven't announced that yet, but
Okay.
look for it soon.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're starting to run down on a little bit of time, but I
We need
pushed,
to do our highlight of the week.
and I know I made a big deal about
You
this. And I'm not sure if I was correct in that not a lot of people have seen it, because it sounds like a lot of people have known about it. I just discovered it last week.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, I'm always neck deep in this, so I've
That's
known
true.
it's
You
coming.
know about everything,
It's
yeah.
by J.J. Abrams, Bad Robot Productions produced it. Steven Spielberg was on board, I believe, to produce it because it's made from a Steven Spielberg novel.
Stephen King.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Stephen King. Jeez.
Yeah.
Not Spielberg.
I would have believed you
We'll
up
put
until you
Spielberg
said
in there,
novel.
too.
I would have been like, all right, well, Ryan knows what he's talking about. I guess I'll.
Spielberg writes novels, dude. A lot of people don't know that. He's quite
You
the
could
prolific
say something
writer.
like that, and I'd have to take you at face value for
He's
a minute
quite the
at least.
prolific writer. No, Stephen King, wrote the book.
Yeah.
11/22/63 is what we're talking about.
And that's the name of the series. So it's a Hulu original.
Yes.
11/22/63. I first off, like, I grew up loving Stephen King. Like, Stephen King was
I
my
have
favorite
read,
author.
Like, a dozen Stephen King
Yeah.
books.
So anytime they have an adaptation, usually it's never as good as the book. It's one of those things. But
Right.
some of them are really good, and there's definitely some hallmarks in Stephen King books and even the movie adaptations where it's like you can tell,
That's
that's a
true.
Stephen King.
That's
That's a Stephen
true.
King movie. That's a Stephen King book. And this has those things in the best possible way.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just there's
Are
a
you talking
style
about
that-
You Shouldn't Be Here?
Yeah. One of those things? Yeah. You shouldn't be here.
On your recommendation, and I've been meaning to get to it, but there's just so much TV out there. I'm still
There
trying to
is.
finish the new Daredevil. I'm still trying to finish Jessica Jones.
I
I
haven't
could go
finished.
on and on.
Yeah.
Not enough hours in the day. But so we watched an episode. The first episode's like an hour and 20 minutes. It's a pretty, well, first of all, I think the first thing I really noticed about it is it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
The
way it's
50s
shot.
world is so gorgeous and shiny and like,
Well, we should. I want to explain really quick what
The
the
60s
premise
world.
is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just because it's James Franco, and this isn't giving a spoiler because it's even in the name of the title, the date. Basically, he can travel back in time.
right.
And so he can travel back to this specific date in the 60s. He's got a task he's got to do.
It feels like the 50s, but it's 1960.
it's 1960, so it's
definitely
right
has
at the
a
end.
50s feel to it.
Yeah, and you're right on that. They did a really good job of keeping everything time sensitive because it would have been just coming out of the 50s.
Yeah,
That's why all the
exactly.
cars are.
That's why all the cars are like 50s cars and stuff. Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. So that's kind of what the premise is. James Franco goes back. He's got a task.
Well, we can say what
Things-
the task is.
Okay.
He's supposed to stop the JFK
Yeah.
assassination.
Yeah. Which that's not really a spoiler. The date
But
even
so
gives that
much
away
goes on. Time is trying to stop him from doing this
Mm-hmm.
in very, I would say, shocking ways.
Yes. So like time fights back against him to do this.
And time is really a bitch in this one.
Yeah, time's a jerk.
It doesn't take any prisoners.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I found it really, really intriguing. Even if you don't watch the whole thing, it's probably worth watching the first episode, which
Okay,
is
yeah, I was curious-
120 minutes.
I was curious what you would think about
I
it.
found it really, really interesting. I definitely saw some flaws in it, but like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I think it's shot beautifully. I think Franco's character is interesting.
Yeah.
He's kind of a moron.
Right. Yeah.
He makes some really bad decisions, but
Yeah.
but he also does some really cool things too. And I think Franco's good in it too.
So, are you going to watch more of it, or is
Yeah.
that it for you?
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna watch some more.
All right.
This is the highlight of the week.
The highlight of the week.
Yeah,
I know I made a big deal about it because I really liked it.
it's a good one.
Yeah.
We enjoyed it. We
Okay,
enjoyed it.
excellent.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Wow, but we just that was
I guess
that was the
guess
show, I
that's it.
think. Yeah.
That's the
So
show.
send us an email, podcast@digitaltrends.com. Anything else you want to add here before
Just
we head out?
Let us know
look
what you
forward to?
think about Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
We're intrigued. It's still getting. I will say this about the movie: it's still getting good ratings from audiences
Okay, so is
on
this-
Rotten Tomatoes, anyway.
Okay.
I think it's at 73%.
Okay, that's better than
But
expected. But
barometers
critics
are falling
are
sharply.
yeah, and the problem is once that starts, it's just going to tumble. I would think.
Every hour it drops a point.
Well, I'll watch it in about a month and a half.
By the end of this show, it's going to be at 29%.
it's
Almost
probably
guarantee you.
plummeted just right now.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to Between the Streams. Every Friday at 2 p.m. We will be live here, 2 p.m. Pacific, live on YouTube and at digitaltrends.com. And then podcast also will be up, and you can find that all on our website,
Absolutely.
digitaltrends.com. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.